Thank you all for being here to celebrate our wedding day. However, it appears there has been a mix-up. The room is filled with uneasy murmurs. An ominous feeling washes over me. To those seated over there, those who seem out of place, please excuse yourselves. You're blocking the view. My sister's voice echoed through the microphone as she smiled sweetly at us, seemingly unaware of the tension her comments were causing on her own special day. It was then that my husband stood up, walked to the bride and groom's table, and took the microphone from my sister. "Congratulations to the couple," he began, pausing as if to savor the moment. "As a toast to this special day, I have something to announce." He paused for effect before continuing with an unexpected declaration. "Our company, King Transport, is terminating all business dealings with Young Industries, effective immediately." Karen and her husband both visibly flinched at my husband's announcement. Let me introduce myself. My name is Karen. I'm 30 years old and I lived with my mother and my older sister, Kale, until I got married. I have been happily married to Ted for 5 years now. Ted is 7 years my senior and a senior colleague at work. He is calm, dedicated to his job, and has always shown me immense kindness and sincerity. I trust him completely and was overjoyed when he proposed. While my life seems full of happiness now, my past was far from easy. When I was 16, my parents divorced because of my father's infidelity. My mother worked tirelessly to support us after that, but her health deteriorated while I was still in high school. At the time, Kea was in college, and I was deeply worried about our mother's well-being. Her constant exhaustion and the fear that she might collapse were always on my mind. Eventually, I decided to forgo college and start working right after high school. My academic performance had been strong, and I had always dreamed of furthering my education. However, my main concern was easing my mother's burden. Supporting the family alone was a daunting task, and while it wouldn't be easy, working would allow me to contribute financially and save on tuition costs. I shared my decision with my mother. "Don't worry about it. Just go to college. Your sister is going, and you want to go too, don't you?" she replied. "No, I'm okay. College is appealing, but I'm more concerned about you overworking yourself, Mom," I said. "But you've always been so dedicated to your studies. I can't believe you'd make such a sacrifice for me," she said. "Mom, this is my choice. It's not your fault. Please take care of yourself and don't push yourself too hard," I urged. With tears in her eyes, Mom responded, "I'm so grateful. I'm truly sorry." Since graduating high school, I've been focused on job hunting. With just a high school diploma, finding a suitable job proved to be quite challenging. However, my persistence paid off when a company saw my potential. I started working at King Transport, and I clearly remember the president's words during my interview. "We value enthusiasm and character above all. We have high expectations for you." Meanwhile, my sister Kiara, who had gone to college, was immersing herself in student life and seemed to be evolving with each passing day. "Mom, I won't be home for dinner tonight, and I won't be back until morning," she would announce, often staying out until dawn. One day, while I was enjoying a rare day off at home, Kiara came in, her expression tense. "Karen, aren't you supposed to be off work today? Could you please leave the house?" she asked sharply. I'm off, but what's going on?" I responded, puzzled. "My boyfriend is coming over today. He's very intelligent, and I prefer he doesn't find out that I have a sister who only graduated from high school." I was taken aback by her words, my shock momentarily overshadowing my anger. Mom and I had struggled to afford her college tuition, working tirelessly to make ends meet. Meanwhile, my sister seemed to be dismissing my own achievements and insulting me for not having a college degree. My frustration bubbled up, but I knew arguing wouldn't change her perspective. "All right, I'll leave the house for today," I said, trying to keep my composure and reminding myself that this was the path I had chosen. Afterwards, my sister began dating only attractive, well-educated men and lived a glamorous life focused on status and appearances. The sister I once knew, beautiful, popular, and charming, had changed. She seemed to be a different person altogether, flaunting her new relationships and belittling me for my lack of higher education. Each new boyfriend she introduced was a subject of bragging, and she increasingly mocked me as an uneducated and foolish woman. What motivated me was my clear goal of achieving independence for my mother. The support of my colleagues at work was also crucial. Initially, I felt like an outsider, a young female driver in a male-dominated transport company. I was an anomaly, and most of the female employees who were part-time workers or housewives kept their distance. Over time, however, their attitudes began to change. I was curious about why this shift occurred without any special effort on my part until one colleague approached me and said, "At first, we were a bit wary. We weren't sure what to expect." I laughed and shook my head. "Wary? Really?" He continued, "I know how hard you work and what a great person you are. Everyone here feels the same way. You've been doing an excellent job." That colleague is now my husband. His support has been a constant in my life. Eventually, our relationship blossomed into romance, and we got married. My sister, who had already graduated from college and moved away, was out of touch until a tragic event brought her back into my life. After my mother passed away suddenly from a myocardial infarction, my sister, relieved of her responsibilities, took charge of the funeral arrangements. It had been about 5 years since I last saw her. "It's been a long time, Karen," she said. "Yes, it has," I replied. "Is this your sister? And is this man your husband?" she asked, her eyes scanning my husband with a critical gaze. Her incredibly rude demeanor left me stunned. "Nice to meet you, Kiara. I'm Ted, Karen's husband. Please accept my deepest condolences," he said with genuine politeness. "What? Just a worthless man?" she shot back dismissively. "Why would you say something so rude?" I demanded. "Be quiet. I heard you married an older man. Just some old guy, right?" "He's a very distinguished person," I countered. "And what does he do?" she asked, her tone as sharp as ever. It was typical of her to focus on someone's profession right after criticizing them. "He works in the same field as I do, transport, but that's not the main concern today. Working in transport isn't exactly impressive. A guy in that industry probably doesn't earn much, right? You two must be struggling to make ends meet. It's kind of pathetic," she said dismissively. "I chose this job. You don't know anything about our situation, so don't make assumptions," I retorted, my anger bubbling over. My husband placed a calming hand on my shoulder. "Karen, today is about your mother. We shouldn't let a sibling argument overshadow it. It would only make her sad," he said gently. His words helped me regain my composure. I chose to disregard my sister's snide comments and focus on cherishing these final moments with our mother. My sister was clearly irritated by my indifference, but her complaints seemed trivial on such a significant day. As we sorted through Mom's belongings later, I was overwhelmed by the memories of her vibrant presence and comforting words, sinking into profound sadness. Through it all, my husband remained a steady source of support and encouragement. 2 years after Mom's passing, my husband said, "Karen, we've received a wedding invitation." "Really?" I asked, surprised. "It's for my sister, Kiara Young." I hadn't been in touch with her since the funeral, so hearing about her upcoming wedding was a shock. "I'm not sure I'm ready to attend," I admitted. "Maybe she's hoping to reconnect." "You and she weren't always at odds, were you?" he suggested. "We used to be very close," I replied. "You're both adults now. This could be an opportunity to mend things. I'll go with you. Let's take this chance," he encouraged. Encouraged by his support, I marked my attendance on the invitation the next day and sent it back. On the day of the wedding, I was surprised to learn that my sister's new husband was the president of Young Industries. "That's impressive," my husband remarked. "Really?" I asked, intrigued. "Absolutely. It's a major deal. The wedding is quite elaborate, and there are many guests," he said. As we made our way to the chapel and waited for the ceremony to begin, I watched my sister walk down the aisle in a stunning white wedding dress. She looked truly radiant, and I couldn't help but tear up with happiness for her. After the ceremony, as we were heading to the reception, we ran into my sister and her new husband. Nervous about this unexpected reunion, I approached them and extended my congratulations. "Congratulations on your wedding. You looked absolutely beautiful today," I said warmly. My sister responded with an air of arrogance. "I never expected you to actually show up." "Is this your sister, Wyatt, the groom?" asked, eyeing my husband and me with a critical gaze. "Yes, that's her, the sister with no education," my sister replied dismissively. Wyatt chuckled mockingly. "Is this really her? She looks nothing like you. Rather plain, wouldn't you say?" He then glanced coldly at me. "And her husband seems like just another average guy. They probably settled for each other," he added with a sneer. "Stop right there. It was the same at the funeral, but this is too much. Leave my husband out of this," I shot back, anger flaring. "How pathetic. A high school graduate like you showing up here is such an inconvenience." Just leave, my sister snapped, her words dripping with disdain. If I'm such a bother, why invite me at all? My husband is a president, and I just wanted to celebrate our beautiful wedding with a grand affair. Meanwhile, you're stuck with a lackluster husband and a dull life. It must be frustrating for you, I replied. I just wanted to see that look of frustration on your face. It's awful that your husband came too. How cruel. Anyway, we're off to change outfits, so you high school graduates can leave now, she said with a sneer. With that, the couple walked away. Anger surged within me. I had worked so hard for my mother and sister, hoping to reconcile one day. To be insulted, along with my husband and my work, was unforgivable. Trembling with rage, my husband placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. Ted, it's all right, he said soothingly. Karen, you're amazing. Education doesn't define your worth. Your sister, who can't see that, is truly blind. But she insulted you and my work as well, I said, still upset. I can forgive her. Don't worry about it, I'll handle this, Ted said with a smile, though his eyes betrayed his deep anger. We made our way to the reception hall. When my sister and her husband reappeared in their new outfits, they looked displeased to see me still there. I remained calm and faced them as the reception began. During her speech, my sister made a shocking announcement. Thank you all for coming. However, it seems someone has mistakenly joined us. A murmur spread through the room. I felt a foreboding sense that something awful was about to happen. Those people sitting there, with their lack of education and unrefined appearance, do not belong in this beautiful celebration. Please leave, she declared into the microphone. I was stunned by her audacity, not expecting such rudeness at her own wedding. It was baffling how someone with such behavior could navigate social circles. My sister seemed completely unaware of the uncomfortable atmosphere she had created. Overcome with anger, I fixed her with a hard stare and said, "Can you hear me? Leave now." That's when my husband stood up and started walking toward the front. What are you planning to do? Don't come over here, my sister protested. Just go home, her husband added, clearly displeased with the interruption. Despite their objections, Ted pressed on, took the microphone, and addressed the guests. Today, I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the newlyweds. However, there's something I need to address, he said firmly. Who is this man? Someone whispered. Effective immediately, we will be terminating our contract with Young Industries, Ted declared, his voice steady and resolute. My sister gasped in shock at Ted's announcement. One of Wyatt's relatives, visibly startled, stood up and asked, "Are you the president of King Transport?" The question came from Wyatt's father, who had handed over Young Industries to Wyatt 2 years earlier. My sister looked bewildered, unable to grasp the unfolding situation. It's been a while, Mr. Young, she stammered. Yes, I am the president of King Transport, and this is my wife, Karen, the executive director, Ted confirmed. At that, Wyatt's guests, clearly affiliates of Young Industries, became visibly agitated. Is this really happening? What does this mean? The president of King Transport? Karen is the executive director? This is unbelievable. As you heard earlier, the bride and groom made derogatory remarks about us, calling us uneducated and unsightly. In light of their wishes, we are terminating our contract with the groom's company and will no longer do business with them, my husband stated calmly. Wyatt's father turned pale, his face losing all color. Within moments, he flushed with anger and shouted, "Apologize to them right now." Why are you so worked up, father? It's just a transport company. Is it really worth getting this upset? My sister retorted scornfully. Meanwhile, Wyatt stood beside her, visibly trembling. Wyatt, what's going on? Someone asked. In a panicked voice, Wyatt's father exclaimed, King Transport is our exclusive carrier, handling our valuable cargo. What? My sister's face drained of color as the realization hit. The president of King Transport is your husband. Ted's company is a major regional player with annual sales in the hundreds of millions. Since he hired me, I've dedicated myself to my work, driving reforms and incorporating on-site feedback. This hard work led to my promotion to executive director last year, thanks to strong recommendations from our team. If we cut ties with them, our products won't reach our customers starting tomorrow. This could severely damage our company's reputation and lead to significant financial losses. Hearing this, my sister's face went white with shock and fear, while Wyatt was in a panic, clutching his head. I can't believe the president and executive director are involved and that King Transport is so crucial to our operations. This is disastrous. If shipping stops suddenly, it will erode trust with our partners and customers, Ted said, returning to my side with a calm demeanor. We've offended such an important partner. Father, please help Wyatt. My sister pleaded. Why were you so disrespectful to such a crucial carrier? Wyatt's father demanded, his voice filled with frustration. This mess is a result of your poor handling, Ted said, his tone firm. Wyatt, looking like a child in distress, turned to his father for help. His father grabbed him by the collar and dragged him to us, forcing him to apologize. We sincerely apologize. Please, could you overlook this incident just this once? Wyatt and his father both bowed their heads in earnest, pleading, I am truly sorry. Please forgive us. Ted glanced at me, silently asking for guidance. I met his gaze and said calmly, we cannot overlook this. Please confirm the necessary actions with headquarters tomorrow. Wyatt's guests gasped in shock at the direct announcement. Wyatt's father stood speechless, unable to find his words. I felt a deep sense of betrayal, having hoped that my sister might seek reconciliation. I was also disheartened by her husband's glaring incompetence as the president of Young Industries, failing to recognize a crucial business partner. My hopes were shattered. The wedding was abruptly canceled. The guests, including Wyatt, his father, and representatives from Young Industries, left the reception in a state of confusion and panic, scrambling to address the crisis. My sister's careless remarks had ruined her own wedding and left her in stunned silence. Big sister, you're on your own from now on. Don't ever show your face to us again. Her apologies, filled with regret, were now meaningless. My husband and I left the scene. In the aftermath, Wyatt was removed from his position as president by his father, losing both his status and wealth. His anger was directed at my sister, leading to endless conflicts that ended in their divorce. Meanwhile, my husband and I are eagerly anticipating the arrival of a new member in our family. My husband's family warmly supports us, celebrating our future together despite past hardships. We look forward to a joyful life with our baby.